And thank you so much for coming to this monthly installment of Pioneer Webinars. So glad you guys could join us for this one. This is a really cool one, I think, because it pertains to all of us and the upcoming holiday season. Start with an introduction. My name is Chelsea Risco. I'm going to be your guys' facilitator this evening. I'm the e-learning specialist here at Pioneer Federal Credit Union. Which means I do a lot of teaching and design for our employees through our online platforms. And just this year, we started extending those opportunities externally to our members and communities, which is you guys. And as a credit union pioneer, we stand firmly on the promise and the focus of people helping people. And we're just really happy to have this webinar platform to share some financial knowledge with the communities that we serve. So just a big thank you guys so much for being here. You are the reason that we exist. And so I just hope that you get something out of this tonight as we try to give back. So we know that regardless, if we're ready or not, there is not much time left before we have to start planning and buying for the holiday season. From gifts to food, even those fun family experiences, we spend a lot of money around this time. That's why this evening we wanted to take some time to talk about things we can do to make it through the holiday without going broke. So to kick us off, I want you guys to start by thinking about last year. And like, I know we don't really like talking about 2020 or really thinking about it, but let's just focus in on just the holidays specifically. So I'm curious if you could answer the question in the chat. What was the best part of your holidays in 2020? I'll give you guys a second to chat in answers. What was your favorite part? What was the best part of your holidays last year? All right, spending it as a family of 5. Our daughter was born in March. It was so special. So you guys had a big family Christmas this year. Claudine, you said healthy family. Yes, that's a big one for sure. Being able to see my family again after a long time, right? Yeah, I would say that was definitely something that was great, was being able to safely see some of our family members at the end of last year. That was great, being able to do that after a long time not seeing them. So I agree. Yes. Let's think a little bit more about your last holiday season. What did you buy for others? Maybe what was your favorite gift that you bought for someone last year? We're trying to get into the feels of the season, right? I don't know if you're a gift giver like I am. I love giving gifts. So this is like my thing. The holiday season is just my time to shine. And I tend to pride myself on giving good gifts for people. Anyone have a thought on that one? What did you buy for others? Customized coffee cups for your sister. I love customized gifts. I think they just mean so much, right? Yep. I'll tell you guys what I bought that I was excited about because I'm a bargain shopper. I went to Walmart and found a Paw Patrol rideable, I guess, scooter in the shape of Chase. And I somehow found it on clearance for $11. And to me, that was just like the best gift I think I was able to give last year. Okay, let's talk about some more critical comments, shall we? What kind of shopping mistakes that you might have done last year, maybe even more years prior, would you like to correct this season? Shopping until the last minute. I am so guilty of that also. Losing sight of how much I spend until I do the math. Yep. Adding on a bunch of little things until they add up to too much. Yeah. Yeah, yep, that's definitely very relevant to me for sure. I'm gonna also play along with this too. Something I'd like to correct is I tend to go on Amazon and I validate sales. I think, oh, it's on sale, I must get it now. And even if I can't think of who I'm going to give this to, I'll figure it out. So we all have things to work on, right? Well, thank you guys so much for your input. That's really great. Thank you for sharing. So perhaps we don't even realize it, but our emotions are very tied to how we spend. So again, I'm trying to get a lot of input from you guys because we really want to work through this together. I have a question for you. What emotions do you connect to the holiday season? You can just start naming them off. What emotions do you connect to the holiday season? Joy. Yep. Definitely joy is a good one. Joy, stress, shame. Oh, we got some good and some bad. Uh-oh. Very valid, though. Very valid. Overwhelmed. Yep. Yep. I would definitely feel that too. Love and peace. Oh, yeah. I mean, those are definitely like the words you see on the Christmas cards, because I really think that that is definitely love, joy, and peace. But it's a great point that you brought up there too. Like you might feel stress and shame too, right? All right. Taking ourselves out of the holiday mind, let's just think about money. What kind of emotions do you connect to money? When you think of money and you're thinking about emotions specifically, what do you connect? What emotions do you connect with money? Safe. Okay. I'm wondering if that could be both ways. Safe as in you feel safe because you have a good safety net, or safe because you've planned. Let's see, excitement, fear, stress, and happy. Yep, definitely both sides of the spectrum, right? For sure. Overwhelmed again. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it can be overwhelming for sure. For sure. Yeah, those are all very valid. Again, I think both of these have great emotions that go with them and sometimes not so great emotions that go with them. So here's a fun fact. Did you know that over 90% of why we buy is emotional and subconscious? We don't even realize it's happening. Our brains have been wired throughout our lives to connect shoppings with feelings like contentment, joy, relief. Even for some, it is a way that they cope with anxiety and depression, ADHD, stress. So it's very intertwined in our emotional side of us. The other interesting thing is that our minds have been wired with money scripts, if you will. Think of it kind of like the stories we tell ourselves about spending, and specifically with these ones we're going to talk about with the holidays and spending. Some of those might be our family deserves a great holiday. Not that that's wrong, but what is the motive behind that? Also, I'll deal with the damage after the first of the year, right? I'm definitely guilty of that one. Um, the last one is they'll think less of me if I don't, and fill in the blank. If I don't contribute at the party, if I don't buy gifts for my cousin's children, fill in the blank of whatever that might be for you. And I think that, again, these all tie to emotions and to spending, and to the holidays specifically. There's a lot of expectations, I think, around the holidays with traditions and just with the things that we do and the events and the people. And I think there's a lot of scripts that we have in our minds. Again, I'm going to call on you guys. Do you guys have any scripts that you can think of regarding money or holidays or expectations around those things? I'd definitely say I think mine is for sure our family deserves a great holiday. I have a pressure on me as the mom specifically. Whatever role you play, maybe that's your I don't want to say your burden, but maybe it's the thing that you really think about a lot. And I definitely feel that with my family. I feel like I have to, with my son and my husband, make sure that we have a good Christmas. I want my daughter to have better than I did as a child. Oh, wow. Yeah, that's actually, I bet that's a really common script that people have in their minds. I bet around holidays. Yep. And money for sure. Yep. Thank you for sharing that. So the unfortunate reality is that a lot of the stories we tell ourselves revolve around fear or greed, and it's something we've got to be really aware of. Things you might be thinking about is the influence of others, like spouses, our children, extended family, friends, and really just not wanting to let them down. Also, the marketing frenzy that exists around the holiday. Um, I mean, obviously Black Friday is going to be a huge example of that. And it seems to change every year, right? Like going into Thanksgiving and being multiple weeks long. And I think even Walmart like started theirs like this week or something wild like that. But it's interesting. You have to remember it's actually someone's job to make you want to buy things. Like they literally go into work every day and they get paid to do that. And just like people are very good at being doctors and being whatever it may be, there are people that are very good at making you want to buy things. And I think we've probably each experienced that in different ways. You might feel guilt from not having enough money. You think to yourself, how am I going to buy the best top of the line presents to make sure everyone knows how much I love my kids, right? I think we think about that a lot too with kids going to school, having friends. Not everybody's in the same financial situation. And sometimes as parents, maybe it might be an extra burden on us to feel like we have to prove ourselves and show our love through Christmas and through gifts or through Hanukkah or whatever we celebrate. But also the feeling of not having enough money, even if you are a single individual who's wanting to participate in, gift exchanges or family Christmas or whatever that event may be. There's definitely a lot around the idea of feeling guilt about not having enough money around that time. We might also have an overdependence on credit. That may be not planning or saving, and you're counting on money you don't have yet to pay it back. And then also there's this sense of scarcity, which leads to overbuying. The toilet paper in 2020, as you guys know about, I'm sure. And lastly, not knowing the difference between wants and needs. That is very confusing in today's society, I think. So again, I want to hear from you guys. Do you guys have any experience with any of these? Do any of these really just hit home for you? Any of these factors that go into your emotions and spending? I definitely don't want to out myself, but I do want to make sure I'm being open and honest too, so that you guys feel safe to do the same. I am guilty during the holidays with the overdependence on credit. I have a budget going into Christmas, and then things get a little out of control at some point, and I think, oh, it's fine. My husband will get a bonus, or maybe I'll get, a bonus that we sometimes get. Like maybe I'll just have what I need to pay it off, and it's scary to be dependent on something you don't know is coming. So yeah, definitely that one's mine. When I don't pay attention to why I'm spending, I get drawn into overspending and too much credit. Oh yeah. Yep. The why is really important too, right? We kind of talked about the emotions that come with mental health and how easy it is to use spending and shopping as a coping mechanism for that. I felt guilty before not being able to provide like I thought I should. Yeah, and I think, unfortunately, I don't know what it is about society, but there's definitely this weird unspoken thing about, I guess, a judgment about that. And I just don't really understand it, because it's not like we're all always financially sound 100%. I mean, someone could lose their job in a second and need to, really start to figure things out. And yeah, it's just interesting. I don't know, like as I was looking at this, thinking about, man, like why is that a problem? Why is that a pressure? Why is that something that someone has to feel as guilt if they don't have money for the holidays? It just seems so interesting to me when it's a time of giving, and we'll talk about other ways that you can participate and give, which I think is maybe something we don't talk about enough. So thank you for sharing. Especially that was a pretty vulnerable one. So I appreciate that a lot. So let's go ahead and map out a plan of attack, so we don't fall prey to any of those things that we talked about in the future. And hopefully we can survive the holidays this year, and all of them ahead of us. So looking at this graphic here, we're going to break this down, but here's kind of 5 key things we're going to look at. We have our budget. We have the task of making a list. We're going to consider some alternatives. We're going to make sure to focus on managing credit if that's something we need to use. And then we're going to talk about planning for next year, because obviously it is October. Things are coming pretty fast. Whether you're able to make some changes this year or set yourself up for success next year, we're going to talk about that as well. Let's start by identifying a budget and making a list. So for me, I like to start with a pretty vague idea of how much I might spend this year based on what I spent last year. So obviously, if last year I went overboard, this might be a time for me to try and reduce that amount by, I mean, it could be 100, 300, 1,000. I mean, whatever you're spending, what you think is maybe too much, just assess that, be honest with yourself, and see what's realistic for you. What we want to focus on is whatever's going to get us in line with our goals. And then it's a good idea to go ahead and make a list of all the people you need to buy for. So this is going to include people in your household, your parents, your siblings, your coworkers, your friends, maybe teachers at your kid's school, whatever that might look like. I think if we make a plan on what we want to buy them, that's a great way to do it if you already know what you want to get them. Or there's also the option to divide your budget per person group. So I might choose to spend 25 on my siblings. But at the same time, I'm only going to spend 15 on my friends. And maybe I spend 50 on my child, but I spend 20 on my nieces and my nephew. So it's just, you can kind of go both ways. If you're the type of person that's like, I know what I'm getting this person, I've already picked it out, I've already know how much it is, fill it in as that, because you're going to be the most accurate as you can be. Whereas otherwise it's easier for some to pick out the amounts ahead of time and go in knowing how much you can spend. But whatever I choose, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it into a chart. So this one here is just a simple chart that was built in PowerPoint. So something super simple you can do in Word. Or, find a chart from like Pinterest, or I know every year when I'm doing my Christmas list, I just put it on my phone's notes. So that I make sure to have that grouping of people and start seeing how much I may need to spend and who I'm buying for. And then I get to use it every year. It's the same list every year, which is nice. I just add anybody that was born, which would be my nephew this year. So perfect. And then just make sure that it's somewhere that you can come back to it and reference it, whether on paper or on your computer, on your phone, because you're going to want to reference it so you can stay on track and also update it as you shop, and keep yourself in line and accountable to your plan. So you guys see the example here. We have 3 people, and listed are the items we want to buy with the dollar amount. So we've picked, for person 1, electronics, clothing, stocking stuffers. For person 2, we got a coat because it was higher value, stocking stuffers. And for our last person, probably a kid, is toys, clothing, and books. And so again, it's not always about getting the exact amount equal if that's not your thing. I mean, everyone's so different in this arena. I really wanted to make sure you guys have a tool that you could make it work for you. So here's just an example you can look at. But again, the whole point is to identify a budget, then make a list, and last is to stick to it. Okay, so how do you stick to it? Sounds very simple, right? But we all know that we've gotten ourselves in trouble before. So you need to create boundaries for yourself. And maybe that looks like not shopping around paydays when you are feeling tired and emotional, or even the idea of getting a paycheck and thinking, wow, I got a lot of money I can spend, when really it needs to go somewhere else. Also, maybe reconsider Black Friday. I know that changes every year, like I mentioned before. I mean, it could be the whole hoopla and excitement of going into the store, or maybe it's just, maybe just shopping the ads or online. But just remember that that's a marketing tactic. So just remember that they're going to make things seem, very scarce. So you're going to want to grab them and get them. So just keep that in mind. Check in with yourself. Maybe take a second before you click that buy button and make sure that it aligns with what your plan was. Also, research your options before buying. This means using your good old friend Google, see where you might get the best deal. Also, don't forget you can buy things used too, considering what you're buying someone. And I'll definitely vouch for Facebook Marketplace. I found a lot of great gently used items that we've been able to gift to our family and friends. And also remember, nothing is a bargain unless it's on your list. So don't let a low price talk you into getting something if it's not on your list. So we're gonna pull a Santa and we're gonna look at our list and we're gonna check it twice. And we're going to make sure that we are not naughty, but we're nice. Okay, I just made that up and I probably shouldn't have. Anyways, what are some barriers or boundaries that you've set for yourself when shopping around Christmas? What are some practices you put in place if I didn't mention them here? Let's see. This year, the shopping message is buy now due to inventory and shipping issues. You know what? You're right. I have seen specifically the shipping issues comment many times as I've been getting emails and just, browsing through Instagram or Facebook for sure. For sure. Let's see. Don't shop with my kids. That's a given. I think that's just good for your sanity also. Just saying. Let's see. Think on it. Don't buy things right away. Give yourself a day or two to decide if it's the right thing. Yeah, that's a really great point too. Maybe you put all the stuff in your shopping cart, let's say in Amazon or wherever you're shopping, come back the next day and see if you really do want to get all those things, if it really makes sense. Let's see, have people provide me with a list and choosing from that list and being done after that. Oh, that's a good one too. I'm guilty of that. I'll see something that'll make me think of someone specifically at holiday bazaars because they're handmade. Here's my story. I tell myself, okay, I go to a holiday bazaar. I see things made by people who are local, who worked really hard on them, and I want to support those people. And so I think, why, yes, I think that my sister's dog does in fact need a knitted sweater. Does the dog need a sweater? Absolutely not. But I had just talked myself into it because I wanted to, fill in the blank, support this person, make this dog happy, whatever it may be. Definitely the idea of, again, we keep pounding this in, but a list, even if it's provided by the other person, get a list so you know exactly what to look for. And then, like you said, be done after that. Good input, guys. Thank you so much. So I do want to remind you guys too, you know yourself better than anyone. So take the time to sit and be honest with yourself and then set those barriers to stay on track. You're ultimately going to be the one that has to do that for yourself. So if your goal is to spend less money this season, you're going to need to do the hard work to get there. So, but hopefully as we talk through these things and talk about some examples, that'll get you guys started on that conversation with yourself. Okay, so I do want to propose to you guys some alternatives. So we talked about this with having money. Maybe it's even just time. Maybe this is just a really busy time for you. The idea of shopping, the idea of wrapping, which I absolutely despise, by the way. I despise wrapping. Maybe this whole idea of these classic traditions, maybe it's time to step out of the box a little bit and step away from those classic wrap gifts under the tree and look at some alternatives to tradition. So these alternatives, keep in mind, they can keep all the fun, all the connection, all the love that we enjoy during the holidays, but it can bring really big savings and peace of mind to you. So some ideas, a white elephant exchange. Do we really need more gifts in our lives? I feel like we all have a lot of things. Maybe it's just, more important to laugh. I've seen some pretty good white elephant gifts in my time, and we've done the items you don't want. So I've given away like a cat snow globe, just really classic, terrible things, and they end up at the thrift store again or whatever. But being able to laugh about things is something that's really good for the heart too. Also, progressive dinner party. This could mean everyone brings a dish to share instead of someone hosting a classic dinner party. Maybe have everyone pitch in, and that'll save everybody money in that case. Also, drawing names. This is actually what we do in my family. Since there's so many of us, I have 9 people that would be in my quote unquote sibling category because of my in-laws and those that have married my siblings. 9 of them that I would be spending money on. So instead, we draw. And we each get one person to buy for. And it has been really great for my budget. So I would highly suggest that one. Also, the idea of children only gifting. Of course, as fun as it is to receive gifts as an adult, there's just so much joy by just focusing on the magic for the kiddos. So maybe consider, children only gifting. The other idea on that would be like a gift for the whole family, or even like a married couple, maybe just one gift for them versus buying 2 separate gifts. Also, keep in mind donating a service or your time instead. When money is tight, the gift of time can mean so much more than we realize. Helping someone or or maybe you are really good at something and it can bless someone. Maybe this is your time to give that as a gift. And lastly, handmade or homemade options. So if you're crafty, this is great, but don't discount the idea of, making treats and with your family even, and giving those away, or even writing a nice letter. Again, gifts from the heart usually means so much more than you could ever imagine, than, the coolest, greatest gift in the world. Like, something about someone taking the time and the effort to make something, I think, is just so special. So yeah, do you guys have any additional alternatives you can think of? Any new traditions you guys have started in your families? Maybe that are a little less than traditional and save some money? I'm curious if too, I feel like a lot of people are very traditional with certain things. I know that I have personally as an adult kind of redefined what traditions look like in my little family with my husband and my son. So I'm always curious what other people do. I mean, this year we're getting a dog, so we made the decision to just do stockings this year for each other and keep the budget pretty low. So, well, I guess I covered all the alternatives then. Well, hopefully you guys have gleaned some ideas from this and can maybe put them into action this Christmas and holiday season. Okay, so now I want to kind of transition back to the money portion, back to many people's realities, which is using credit to pay for the holidays. And while I'm going to highly suggest finding an alternative, like we just discussed, if your choice is to move forward with using credit, I just want to kind of say, I would really like to implore you, I should say, to be smart when paying it back. Here's actually two examples of people who both charged $3,000 on a credit card. The rate on that credit card is 14.4%. So this first person is going to pay the minimum payment of $90, which is 3% of that balance. So this person is going to take 11 years to pay off that balance. And by the end of it, they will have paid $4,745 in interest. Ooh, just want a little bit of a wowza there, because I want to remind you the original amount they spent was $3,000. So this isn't like, oh, like the total. No, this is how much they're paying in interest, friends. Like, this is a lot of money. And again, I'm imploring you to not use credit if you can avoid it. But if you do, here's the better option. I would suggest you actually pay more than the minimum. So this person paid $103 versus the 90. So this person, it'll take 3 years to pay off the balance. And the interest is still going to be $3,712 paid, but that's still a savings of $1,033, which is pretty big just by paying that extra amount each month. And this applies outside of Christmas too, guys. If you have credit cards you're wanting to pay off or pay down quickly, just throw extra money at them as much as you can, because that interest is really what's going to get you, especially on those really high interest cards, which there are some out there that are 24% and really high. And if you do the math on those, it's kind of scary how much you end up paying for them. So throw extra money at them. And again, I think I'm just going to like really hound you guys on this one, but I want to give you guys some questions you can ask yourself before using credit for the holidays. So a question you can ask yourself is, have I created a budget? If so, where's the money coming from for this new payment? And what will the total cost be over time? Again, if you budget for the holidays, you know how much you plan to spend, do the math and see if it's worth it. And will the item outlive my ability to pay it off? Oh, isn't that such a good one? I think that is just such a good like question to be like, oh boy, if I buy a TV, I mean, TVs last pretty long. I would say like a kid's toy. Those are not going to last very long. Oh, and thank you. Yes, online calculators can help you figure out some of that as well. So make sure you take advantage of those. I'm sure you can just Google probably credit card calculator or interest calculator for sure. And then here's a really big question too, and this comes back to the heart work of this is, do you have the discipline to pay it off before the interest is charged? Because as you guys know, there is a timeline where you can pay off the amount before it actually gets charged for interest. And depending on when you use it, that can change. But the whole point is there's people who are doing like 0% stuff, like furniture stores. I'm not sure that you're going to buy someone a couch or even yourself a couch for Christmas, but example, even for the future, if you go to a furniture store and they're like 0% financing until, 6 months from now, and you think to yourself, oh, I can absolutely pay that off by then, no problem. Are you sure though? Because if you don't, those companies have the ability to charge you interest, not on the balance in which it is at that 6-month mark, but the balance of the original loan. So again, this idea of people also throwing into the mix these deals with credit cards, you have to remember there's usually a price to pay for that. So think it through, ask the questions, do the research, pretty please. Okay, I'm going to get off my credit soapbox now. But I do want to just say, you by asking those questions, you might be paying for this holiday season far into the future, or if you answer them honestly, you might be making some different choices this year and years to come. Okay, off of my soapbox, here I go. Okay, so let's go back 1 second. So it is a little late in the game to start saving up hundreds of dollars right now. So let's talk about planning for next year now. So you're going to do this by setting a SMART goal. And if you haven't heard of what a SMART goal is, SMART is an acronym. It stands for specific, measurable, attainable, reachable, and timely. So let's look at this chart with a couple of ways we can do this. So the first option on top there is you can save up money for next year. So for this example, the goal is to save $600. We're going to do that by setting up an automatic transfer. That's our measurement. That's how we're going to be able to do that. We're going to set our reach action as going in, setting up the automatic transfer of $50 a month, starting next month, and then all the way through October of next year. So if you have online banking, this is something you should be able to do in there and have that come right out of your deposits or every month or whatever. The point is you don't have to touch it. You don't have to do it yourself. It's automatic. So it's a lot easier for you to accept that it's going to happen, for it to happen without you stepping in the way. And so that's why we say set up automatic transfers. That's the best way to be successful with that. Also, we have a timeline. So our goal is to be done by November 1st of next year. We want to have $600 saved. So with all those things in place, this goal is attainable. Now let's go down to the next line. If we didn't prepare as well as we had hoped for this year, we're going to look at making a plan to pay off the credit card by next October. So we'll make our regular payment of $75. However, we're also going to pay an additional $30 a month. Okay, so $105 total towards that credit card each month, which again is attainable if we follow the plan for this goal. So I'm curious for you guys, what kind of SMART goals are you thinking of implementing for next year in regards to getting ready for the holidays, or maybe even making up for these holidays coming up this year? You guys have any SMART goals, or can you think of any that you might want to implement after hearing these examples? Save through an automatic transfer for budget next year. Yep. I think a lot of times we think, oh, I'll just transfer it myself every time. But then things get in the way, including ourselves. Try and buy items earlier in the year, break it out so I don't have to shop all at once. And auto transfer, great idea. Yeah, definitely the idea of breaking out through the year. I did take advantage of Amazon Prime Day, which I believe happens in July, I think, or June. And I made a list of what I would want to buy each person for Christmas. And I was able to find most of those items on sale. And so I actually have a few items sitting in my closet right now, ready to go this year, which is great. And then the auto transfer. Yeah, exactly. The auto transfer, if you can get it to, like, honestly, The better step would be to have it go straight from your paycheck. So if you can set it up with your payroll to go to a certain account and break it out that way so that you really can't get in the way of it, I would highly suggest that. Let's see, I can't break out through the year because I'll give it to them in June. Too impulsive and not patient to wait. The gifts, you mean? Give them the gifts in June. Yeah. As I mentioned mental health earlier, ADHD is one of my Achilles heels, if you will, that I'm working through and learning to harness. And one of the benefits of ADHD is that when something is out of sight, it's out of mind. So I've actually forgotten that those gifts are in there until the other day when I had to get in there to get paper towels. So you could also hide it from yourself. I don't know if that's the most realistic one, but yeah. So the idea of this SMART goal. So again, not just saying I'd like to do this, but sitting down and saying, how am I going to do this? What's the first step I'm going to take? And then take that. It is never too early to start for next year. Like I said, this one says for saving up for next year, starting that automatic deposit on November 1st or whenever you get paid. I mean, that's next month. So you can really set yourself up for success next year. So I would definitely suggest, again, 2 options here for you, depending on what and where you're at, what you're going through and where you're at right now. So, okay, so I want to leave you guys with some final thoughts this evening. And these are meant to be encouraging to you as you're going into this season, as you're planning for next year. I want you to remember that the people you love won't always remember what you gave them for a gift, but they will remember how you made them feel. So again, the gift doesn't always have to be something electronic or something that's on, the hot 20 items of the year. Maybe it's just you making them something by hand or taking the time to write them a letter. I just think those things are so meaningful. And it kind of takes us out of that societal pressure of, buying the gift, making it be flashy and cool, and really just getting back to the purpose of what I think the holidays are for, which is to connect with our family and to give with a heart of love. So, okay, that got really feely. Sorry, I usually don't go that far into it. Also, remember, just because it's been a tradition doesn't mean that it's not time to start a new one. So if there's been something you've done in your family forever and you're noticing that it's really a strain on your finances, maybe it's time to move on, or maybe to alter that tradition and start something new. If you're a traditional person, that's great. There's traditions that my family and I have that mean so much to me. But there are some that I've had to say, you know what, this might not be the best idea for how we do things. What if we tried this? And we've created new traditions. And I think there's always room for that, which I think is great that we have the freedom to do that. And again, keeping it in line with the reason for us celebrating the holidays, again, really just a time of love and appreciation and being a family. So, okay, last one. Preparing for this and next year's holiday season, it's going to keep you in control. It's going to reduce and eliminate stress and debt for you. So while it may seem cumbersome to already be dealing with the idea of having to go holiday shopping, wrap the presents, go to all the parties, make the dinner, do this, maybe this just feels like another burden, or something that is another thing to take up your time and you think, I don't need to do this. I just really want to encourage you to slow down for a second before entering into the craziness of the holidays and really just assess where you're at with your finances and what you want to achieve during this time. And remember that the payoff of that is a new year with less stress and potentially less debt. So I hope that you guys feel encouraged by those things. At this point, I'd love to hear your guys' key takeaways. What's something that you guys heard tonight that's going to stick with you, something you want to start doing right away, or plans you have of things you want to implement. And of course, any questions you may have about spending for the holidays, anything Pioneer might be able to do to help you with that. There is a few products we have that could be helpful. I'll just throw one out there that I really like. It's kind of a cool, I think it doubles up on benefits, and that's our credit builder loan. It's actually a loan where we front the money for the loan, say $500 or $1,000, and you can actually choose the amount there. And what you do is you pay towards that loan every month, and the interest is super, super low. So you're not actually paying that much on that. But what you do by doing that is you actually are putting money towards that loan. And what happens when you pay it off at the end of the year, which if you were to take it out right now, you would have a full year of paying it. At this time next year, you would get all that money in your savings account. So if you were paying towards a $500 loan, when you made that last payment, it would be yours and you'd be able to use it. Or $1,000 if that's more close to the budget you're wanting. The other benefit is that it's going to look great on your credit as you're making those installment loan payments. So for me, I always think that's a great option. If you really, really need that accountability, this is a payment you're going to have to put that money in the account towards that payment every month. And again, the payoff is that money's ready for you this time next year. So I think that's a really great tool that we have that really just has multiple benefits. So if that's something that you have questions about, definitely reach out to me and I can get you in contact with someone that could help you with that. Or of course, talk to any of your representatives in our branch or through our call center and PTMs. Oh, and we have some ideas coming in. Perfect. I already started building my Excel for my budget and list. So hearing more about that was helpful. I love the gift of giving service. I have the opportunity to give and will definitely extend that to those who I think can benefit from it. Yes, and I know your story and you definitely could really make a big impact on people. I don't think people, or I don't think you would realize just how much that would mean to people as a gift, because you really are talented in that arena you're in. So great idea, Lindsay. And also, I'm glad that you've already started your Excel sheet. I have my iPhone list ready to rock and roll. So I'm also prepared. Let's see. Claudine says, set up a holiday savings account separate from your emergency saving fund so that you don't touch it. Right. Yes. So I am a, what's the word? I am a addict to multiple accounts. So like if you look at my accounts in my online banking, there you have to scroll because there's so many, because my husband and I love the idea of having separate savings accounts for each thing. So we have one that is for Christmas specifically. And the cool thing about Pioneer is you can get as many special purpose savings accounts as you want and name them for whatever. So while we're talking a lot about the holidays, keep in mind birthdays, keep in mind Halloween, like if you need to budget to keep or to get decorations or candy or costumes, anything can be a savings account, and it can be something that you're putting money into so that when it comes time to actually start paying for things, you're ready. And it's not like, oh shoot, where am I going to find this money last second? So again, really great input, guys. Thank you so much for sharing that. So I don't see any questions. You guys have given me your great key takeaways. So at this point, I just want to say thank you guys so much for attending this evening. There will be a survey that's going to pop up as soon as we end this session. I would really love and appreciate if you could fill it out. It just really helps me to know what things are working for you. If you have any feedback on things that could be better, we really want to keep continuing that work to make sure we're giving you what you need for financial education. And the other benefit of that is that if you fill it out, you could win a $25 e-gift card. So there's that too. Also, don't forget to register for our next webinar. That link is on our website under the webinars page. We're going to be talking about the 10 steps to financial freedom in November, which is really exciting. So hope to see you guys for that one. And again, since you don't have any questions, I'm going to say thank you again for attending. I really appreciate you guys. I hope you have a wonderful evening and we will see you next time.